Hey, welcome to Echoes of Impact with Noura. This is your host, Noura Almasri. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited today to talk about a lot of issues, a lot of things that it's going to affect your life wherever you are in your life. I want to first start the show with talking about building a foundation. Building a foundation for your life, building a foundation for your education, for your business, for your career, and the list goes on. Imagine you are building a house. If you just start building the house without setting a foundation, the house is not going to stay there forever. Well, maybe not going to stay there forever, like either way, but it's going to be stronger and it can on stand on the way of storms or anything more than if you have a strong foundation. So this is how I want all of you to think. Whether you just graduated from school and you are trying to see what career path you want to take, whether you are starting a new business, a new nonprofit, starting a new project, whatever that project is, I want you to make sure you look into that foundation and see what do you need to build, what do you need to establish before you go on. Now, I'm not saying just don't start anything before you are already having the foundation and it's completed, because you're always going to improve. You are going to add things that you did not know about before. As you go on your journey, you're going to discover it. It's going to unfold for you. So make sure you start, but keeping in mind that you are building the foundation. So I want to first talk to you guys who are new graduates, who just graduated from school and looking for a job. Don't just go and apply for jobs, doing nothing else, just applying for jobs, because one important component for you would be networking. Networking could be you sending messages for people in LinkedIn and companies that you are interested to working on, or you're in a department you would like to work with. Networking means that talk to the friends of yours, like see who do they have in a company that you are interested to be working with. Maybe your parents' friends, like go talk to them and see what do they know and who do they know and where do they work and how can they help you. This is an addition to just applying for jobs. So make sure you cover all your bases. And another thing is make sure you are continuously learning. Never stop learning. You don't have to just go to school to learn. You can learn from reading books, from attending coaching programs, from listening to podcasts, anything, any new skills maybe you want to learn, go ahead and learn. You have to learn your entire life in order to stay relevant. You see how fast is everything going on right now with AI and everything going on. If you do not continue learning, you're going to become irrelevant and you're not going to have the job or the business or whatever you want to do. You're not going to have what you want to have. So make sure you put all the building blocks, you follow the steps that anyone who is successfully finding what they want, whether be it a job, be it a company they are starting, whatever you want to do, find someone who successfully did that thing and see what they did. Come closer to them. So if they are someone who are offering training for something, maybe register for that. Maybe like find a creative way to learn from that person that achieved what you wanted to achieve. And there's no right or wrong here. What you want is what you want right now. And maybe you don't know what you want yet. That's okay too, but you have to start somewhere. And then you can change and evolve as you go. You have your entire lifetime to find out what you want to do. let me tell you, before I started working with nonprofit, I never liked anything I did. But after I started working with nonprofit and then started my business, now I love what I'm doing. I love helping business owners. I love helping people pay less in taxes. I love helping people who establish nonprofit to accomplish success and create the larger impact. And now I see the impact and business owners also, like in your business, you can impact. Also, when you find a job, when you are an employee, you also make an impact at your level. Everyone makes an impact. So don't look at anything as a small thing. Everything creates an impact. So just do things. Like the only way you do not grow and you'll never know what you like if you stop working, if you stop learning, if you stop doing things. As long as you are moving, you're flowing with what's happening in your life, you're flowing with what comes on your way, and you continuously learning, you are going to grow. I guarantee that for you, because this is a promise. God gave it to us. You're going to grow as long as you continue working. So, and look at anyone who's successfully doing anything, you will see they will never stop working. And no, working is not that work that you hate, you want to find work and life balance. No, working, doing things, something important. And not something important doesn't mean like it has to be a great thing like that everyone knows about, or no. Anything that's important, that's adding to you, adding to your community, adding to your family, something like makes you a better person than yesterday, than today. You are continuously improving. That can be small or big, it doesn't matter. So this is one thing I wanted to really tell you about. And you want to improve your skills as well. So when I'm talking about skills, I'm not only talking about skills in accounting or skills on internet, or no, those are important. But when I'm talking about soft skills, like, do you accept criticism? So that's going to tell me, like, when you go find a job or start a business or start any project, a nonprofit, whatever it is, that you're going to be successful and you're going to continue. Because if you do not accept criticism, I'm telling you, life is going to hit you hard until you get used to it. So you want to make sure you have this life skills. You have to build your leadership skills. You have to build your soft skills. All these are important in order for you to achieve what you want to achieve, even if you don't yet know it. So this is what I wanted to tell you, or you guys who just graduated from school last year or this year or whatever. So you want to focus on building that foundation. If you are starting a business, if you are starting a nonprofit, you want to focus about foundation. Foundation can be your clients, your donors, your system, your employees. So that has to be in your mind. You have to have a plan, because if you do not have a plan, you're not going to be able to build the foundation. You want to have a plan, you want to have everything in front of your eyes, and you want to have tactics. That's the action you're going to take on your plan. But make sure your eyes always on the foundation, because you want to make sure you have a strong foundation. I can't wait to talk to my guests today. I have 3 amazing guests. They're going to talk to you because they have a lot to share. We're going to talk about building blocks for board members. We're going to talk about leadership, we're going to talk about taxes as well. I know some of you might not like talking about taxes, but believe me, before I studied for my enrolled agent exam and I became a tax professional in my career, because I didn't used to do taxes before. I only done my own taxes, but since I started my business, I decided to include taxes, and I studied for my enrolled agent exam. I started helping my clients save in money in taxes and keep those money for them to help them improve their life, their business, everything they want to do, control their money. So I became like really interested in that topic. And it's very important because taxes touches everyone's life. You saw one of my previous episode, we talked to Rolanda, and she mentioned that IRS can take your passport if you do not pay your taxes. But we want you to pay attention and not to pay unnecessary taxes when you can do tax planning. This is when you can save in taxes legally. But we're going to talk about what if you've been receiving those letters with the IRS. So stay with me where I can talk to my guests, and we're going to provide a lot of values for you. I'll talk to you later. Welcome back. This is your host, Noura Almasri, and this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. Today, I have a regular guest with me again, and we are going to continue our conversation about board members for the nonprofit organization. Wherever you go, for meetings, to networking events, I'm sure you will find at least 1 to 2 board members, people who are involved in a nonprofit because they want to do good. But often people don't know how to do it. They just want to do it because they want to help, but they don't know what's the effective way to do their job as board member. This is why I have my friend Rozetta Williams here with us today. Hi, Rozetta. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Hi, Noura. Thank you so much for having me back.
Sure. My pleasure to have you here. Can you introduce yourself a little bit for people who did not watch you before, who did not hear what you have to say before?
Oh, of course. So, as Noura mentioned, my name is Rozetta Williams, and I sit in the founder and CEO position at Right Touch Consulting, where it is our mission to empower and uplift nonprofits. And wow, I found the best way to do that is through helping nonprofits create a solid foundation, right? So we do this through comprehensive consulting, targeted training, and we even do a little grant writing.
Absolutely. It's nice. And it's a pleasure working with you as usual and talking to you, because a lot of people don't understand what does it require to have an effective board. And you talk about building blocks of an effective board, which might be really new for a lot of people because I haven't heard it from anyone except for you personally. So can you talk about the building blocks for an effective board?
I sure can, Noura. The building blocks of effective board, this is the foundation, right, that you are wanting to build so that you can have a sustainable organization. And it doesn't matter if it's a large organization or a small organization. You need to have a couple of things that are essential embedded in the culture and how you do things, in order to create an organization that is going to be sustainable and impactful within your community. So a couple of those areas that I believe begin that foundation is, first of all, diversity and inclusion, right? So as you are building your board, you want to consider, does my board reflect those in the community that I'm serving? Are we able to build a board that is not just through one lens, right? Through our lens. We see a problem, we want to go out and fix it, but is it necessarily what is needed in the community, right? So when you have these diverse and inclusive boards, you really are able to have a profound impact on the organization and the community, right? Because all of your decisions are going to be based off of what you are receiving from within the community, from those different thoughts and insights that you bring together. I feel like I jumped the gun, Noura.
So when you talk about diversity and inclusion, what does it mean? Does it mean, because some people can understand it, different age in the board, or other people might understand like different like people from different countries, or people different colors, or different background in general. So what would you define as diversity when it comes to a board?
Wow, you want all the things, everything that you mentioned, different races, ages, sexes. You want to have a board that reflects your community. If you're an organization that works with youth, I mean, why not have a youth advisor, right? To bring in that varied perspective from what's happening in this at this time in a youth's life. What do they actually need? Because a lot of times we come in with this idea of we know exactly what everyone needs through just our lens, like I said. So by having this diverse, including everyone, what does my community look like? If my community is diverse with different cultures and ethnicities and people and ages, then that's what I need my organization to look like. That's who I need to lead my organization, right? Because we're going to come in, and those board members are going to come in and they're going to have a stronger connection to the mission and the vision, right? Because they have an understanding of those that they are trying to help.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. So my question to you now, like you give an example about the organization who's involved with youth. They need to have a youth director, someone who can understand. Now, someone might argue, if I have a women empowerment organization, should I have a man included?
Absolutely. Right. Because here's the thing. I believe that it takes all of us to make changes. We need to be able to express. We need allies in everything that we do. We need to be able to have maybe a voice from the male perspective. We need to have a voice from the Black perspective, from the white perspective, because every one of us are experiencing this beautiful, life and experience a little different. And if we're able to bring in those skills, those tools, and those different life experiences into our board, we get a rounder picture of what is actually needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't agree with you more. So Echoes of Impact focuses on women in business and nonprofit and leadership and success story. But we do have men come on the board as guests, and we get a lot of insights and great value from them. So we are not living on this earth alone. We all living together. So I cannot agree with you more. Now,
it really is about the collaboration and the innovation that everybody's perspective can add, to where we're trying to go and how we're trying to grow.
Absolutely. So another thing, I want to give another example for people, because someone might come and argue, hey, I have a nonprofit that focuses on working on certain areas for supporting people who came from a certain area, like my home country, for example. Let me give you an example about my country, because I am originally from Syria. So if I am doing an organization in a little city here in America, but represents or cares about a little city in Syria, not only that little city, also helping people who are here, but they came from the same city. Do I need to bring on into the board other people from other area to help me with it?
That's an excellent question. And I'm going to tell you, there's a part of me that sits on the fence there, right? Because I'm like, well, you know what is needed in that organization. You know what is needed within the country. You also know what is happening here in America with those that have migrated here or immigrated here, I guess. And so here's my thought. Again, it takes us back to we all need each other. So yes, you want those varied perspectives. You want, if you're living in Chicago and you've lived in Syria, you want the perspectives of everyone that's within that community. And I don't know, that's just how I believe, because also those people will also be those that are donating to your organization. They're also the ones that are seeing the work that you're doing in the community here, even if it's helping both in Syria and then here in America. it's all of those perspectives. It's an opportunity for everyone to share.
Absolutely. I cannot agree with you more, because also that gives you access to different communities. So you can get donations from, so you can get access, can get support from these people, because I've seen it firsthand. When the Syrian revolution started in 2011, a lot of Syrian organizations started back then, but a lot of them, they just had Syrian people in the boards or involved. And what happened is, like, everyone was drained. So there was not enough support, because everyone was supporting all these organizations. So everything was drained. So I can't agree with you more. Like, even in these cases, you need people from different community, different perspectives. So this is very important. Before we go for today, we still have to cover a lot on building blocks. We did not get a chance to cover today, but stay with us, guys, because Rozetta, she's going to cover those next Tuesday. So stay with us, or watch her again next week. Now, before we leave, I want you to tell people about the workshop that you have. If someone wants to work with you and looking to put that building blocks and action for their organization, how can they find you and work for you?
Oh, wow. Well, we are going to, Right Touch is hosting a live workshop September 26th at, I believe, 5 p.m. Central Time. So I look forward to seeing you all there, where we will delve really deep into what does diversity and inclusion look like for your organization? What are the other, we talked about recruitment, onboarding, training, and development. How do you create a culture that is engrossed and I don't know, really into creating and building the foundation for your board? So I'd love for you all to join me September 26th, 5 p.m. Central Time, for the building blocks of an effective board. And you can find me at righttouch.consulting, or you can also purchase tickets at Eventbrite.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rozetta. Thank you for your valuable insights. As always, we can't wait to see you again next week to continue talking about the building blocks for the board members. Thank you so much. And guys, we'll be right back after the commercial. This is your host, Noura Almasri. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back. This is your host, Noura Almasri, and this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. I'm very excited to introduce my new guest today. She is here for the first time at Echoes of Impact. I cannot be more than excited to have her, because she has a lot to share with you guys. And I'm sure you are going to get a lot of value about leadership, how to represent yourself, how to just keep going, and whatever you want to keep, whatever your goal is in life. So let me welcome Connie. Connie, welcome to Echoes of Impact. How are you today?
I am great. How are you? I'm so glad to be here, and I'm very excited. So
thank you. Welcome. I'm glad to have you here. So why don't you just go ahead and tell people who you are and give them a little bit of your background of what you've been doing.
Okay. All right. So my name's Connie Jean Catalano, and I'm a life transition specialist. And what that means is, really, I am a coach and a trainer and a public speaker. But I help people transition from one area of their life to another. And most of it surrounds human relation skills. So I help people to bring out the best in themselves by using best practices. And I focus really on sales, leadership, public speaking. And I also have a senior program called I Had No Idea. And that helps adult children and seniors to transition to retirement. So that's basically what I do, and I love it. I probably get more from them. Well, I know my clients love me and they get a lot, but I get just as thrilled as them to see them have an aha moment and start to change their life. So
nice.
Awesome.
So can you let the audience know what's exactly your for example, I came to you and I want to do one of the service, but I'm confused. I don't know what I would have you help me with. So what's the process could be?
Okay, so first thing I would do is ask you a lot of questions because I really want to address the thing that you want the most. So if we're talking and it ends up being leadership or public speaking or even sales, maybe you want to do more cold calling or something like that. We'll get to that in the questions that I ask, and I find out what's dear to your heart right now, and then I have programs. I customize them to you, your personality, and then we begin to coach once a week. Sometimes I'll offer a 6-week program, and then I've had people that I'm still doing for a whole year, so they just kept going. So depending, but I offer 6 weeks. This way, you get a really good idea of what you can do when you have a coach like me. So, and also I've been around for many years. I mean, I've been in business for 60 years. I know that kind of ages me because I look like I'm 60, but uh, but the truth is I have been helping people for many, many years and have a lot of wisdom and experience. So I know when I'm talking to someone what they need. I can just do that. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And let's say like your career path, how did you change your career path? How did you start your career? Because now like we have a lot of graduates, they don't know what they know, what they want to do. They don't know what do they like. I just want a job. And then when they get the job and this is not what I was looking for, especially for just the new graduates. So can you talk a little bit about this, like give them some encouragement maybe, and that's they see in your example, how did you start and how did you transition to where you are today?
Okay. So how did I transition to where I am today?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very long story, but I have to tell you, I started off as a person who intended to be a housewife and a mother. And I came from a family that really did not encourage women to work. And I kind of blasted through the wall on that and became a salesperson. And then from there, I became an entrepreneur. I ended up being a trainer because I was offered an opportunity once to train. I made the newspaper, and so then it just went from there. But I didn't have parents that encouraged me. So one of the things that's dear to my heart is when people get discouraged, how do you keep going? So that's why I mentioned one of the things I want to encourage people is just keep going, because I will help you learn how to look at yourself and not worry about what's around you or what anybody expects of you. So so that's how I get started. I mean, I've been in training and sales for 35 years. I worked for Dale Carnegie Trainer. I'm certified in that. I'm also certified in Sandler Sales Institute, consultative training. I have a degree in applied behavioral science from National Louis University. And I have many other certifications under my wing that a lot of people may not know. But Dale Carnegie, I worked for John Maxwell for a while. So yeah, I have a pretty good background and experience. I've brought all that together, and I can just reach the heart of my clients to get them where they want to go. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So like that tells me like whatever you start working with, you're not stuck there. You can always change, evolve as you learn. But I tell my kids, like, whatever job you have right now, consider it that it's your training, but you're getting paid to learn more, because this is the real training. This is the real learning, not a school. Your learning does not end with the school. It just gets started right after. So this is very great. So, and one of the things that you said, like, and I want to emphasize more, perseverance. So keep going. Don't let anything like put you down or discourage you from continuing. And we can see that about on your work and what you have been achieving. So thank you so much for that. You train leadership. So how do you do that? And when would someone know that they need to learn more leadership skills? So yeah, can you elaborate on that?
I can. And you mentioned the youth, the kids, when they get out of college. I just want to address that because I didn't address it. I think that they go to school and they get a lot of knowledge and they think that they have what they need. They have the tools and the skill set to go out. But really, all they have is knowledge. They didn't get to practice it. They didn't have a mentor. They didn't get to apply it anywhere. So when I talk to a young person, they have to be willing, or they are not interested in lifelong learning at all. So you have to have a lot of conversations with them in order to get them to understand, hey, you can go higher. It's just about you. You can lift your knowledge up higher. So what I do when I help leaders, there's so many topics you can go with when it talks about leadership, but let's talk about employee retention today and leadership. And that's sometimes when when a leader says, well, people are just a revolving door here. I've got to stop the bleeding. Because every time you lose somebody, you're losing maybe $50,000. They don't think about that you have to get somebody to hire, you've got to interview, you've got to train. There's so much involved, plus all the time it takes that you're losing productivity in that position. So that's one place I talk to leaders about, and I help them to understand that they're the leader for people to pivot around to encourage others in the skills and strengths they have. So if you interview somebody and you read their resume and you don't ever look at that resume again, well, shame on you. All of a sudden you've got this person doing something totally that they weren't hired for. I right away tell them, take their resumes out. What are their skills? Why did you hire them in the first place? And then let's learn how to strengthen them. That's your job. You're the leader. You need to be competent enough to be able to strengthen the people that work with you or for you, to get them to the highest level so that you can sit back and do your job.
So, go ahead.
No, there's one other thing that I think is real valuable. It's the KPIs, that key productive inventory. That is something that I think really helps a leader to be able to keep people accountable, and they stay accountable with that themselves. So, yeah,
absolutely. So I would say, like, a lot of leaders, they feel threatened if they empower the people who are who are leading in general, especially in a corporate world. What if they wipe me out and now I lose my job and they take my job? So what would you say to them?
I'd say, well, gee whiz, you're supposed to be working yourself out of a job anyway. So you should be advancing yourself. If you're owner of the company, there's a whole lot of things that you could do if you have a smooth sailing ship, right? Because you have everybody doing their job, you can steer the company a lot better. You can also come up with more ideas and stuff. It's really not about taking over. It's about everybody doing the very best they can so that you can go higher. Because you had this vision, you started this company. So obviously you have more visions that you're not even tapping into because you're too busy babysitting. So I would say, you're supposed to be working yourself out of a job. In other words, wherever you are right now, you want to go higher. You don't want to stay there all your life. That kills a person. To just do the same thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, I want to mention the workshop you have, upcoming workshop for people. So I want you to tell them about it before the time is up.
Okay. So I have a seminar. It's a 30-minute seminar to really introduce to some of the workshops or seminars that I have. It's a 30-minute free seminar on how to present. It's called 5 Secrets to a Great Presentation. And I will give them the basics. And if they want to take the class, then I'll give them all the information for that. Or if they want personal coaching, they can have that as well. So
awesome.
And how can they get 24th?
How can they register to that? And when is it again?
It's October 24th. And the best way to do that is email me. I mean, my website's I'm working right now. So it would be best if they just email me, Connie Jean Catalano @gmail.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Connie. Appreciate your time here. Guys, this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is your host, Noura Almasri, and this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. We arrived to the ending of our show, but we're ending with a very important topic. We're ending with something you need to know. And we spoke about it before. Taxes is affecting everyone's life. You might have been receiving those letters from the IRS, and this is when you want to pay attention to us. Even if you still didn't receive any of these letters, you're going to learn a lot. So you don't get into that. But in case you get into that, you know how to get out of it.
Right.
The first thing you should do, as we mentioned before, you have to call a tax professional, preferably an enrolled agent. And there's no one better than my friend Rolanda to talk about that. So we're going to talk to Rolanda to ask her about what are some of your options to maybe minimize your debt or wipe it out, or maybe have an agreement with the IRS so it doesn't affect your personal life. Welcome back to the show, Rolanda. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for the invite, Noura.
Of course, it's my pleasure to have you here as always, because you have a lot to share with people. But before we talk about the topic of today, I want you to just share a little background about yourself for the people who did not watch you before.
Sure. Again, my name is Rolanda Watson. I love all things taxes. I've been in the tax industry since the mid-90s. I've worked with individuals, small businesses, nonprofits, helping them all to minimize their taxes, stay out of tax problems, and of course, staying compliant with the IRS. One of the things that we'll talk about today is how enrolled agents can help you if you have tax issues or to settle your tax debt so that the IRS won't take what you've worked so hard for.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rolanda. And we're going to talk about the specific part. First, can you give us some options? What could be some options like people can do? Of course, we're not recommending that you do it on your own. Always consult with a tax professional, but we want you to know your options. So can you give us a little bit about what options people might have?
Sure. If you have a tax debt or you find yourself in a situation where you owe the IRS, you want to first do an installment agreement. That's something that's very popular that you can do. I always encourage you to speak with a professional just because we know the lingo that the IRS is looking for. You can also do what many call current not collectible. That means you may be in a situation now financially where you are acknowledging that you owe the IRS, but you really don't have the money to pay them, and you can prove it with your paperwork. So that is an option. You can also do a partial payment installment agreement that says, I know I owe you, I want to pay you, let me pay you this lump sum and then make small payments to you. We can do offer and compromise, which we can talk about today a little bit. And that's when you go in depth and see how much you can pay over a certain amount of time to make sure we take care of their debt. But the main thing is you don't want to run from them. You want to make some arrangement to take care of the debt. You want to say, yes, I see you, IRS. I know that I owe you, and here's something to take care of this.
Absolutely. Running from them can maybe cost them their passport, so they're not going to travel, like you said the other day. So don't sacrifice that. Can we talk more in depth about the offer and compromise? Because I see other options might be really, like people can understand it because it's a common language, but offer and compromise is something people are asking about, like what it is exactly, like it sounds foreign.
Right. So the offer and compromise is something that it's a way that you submit to the Internal Revenue Service and you lay out all of your assets or your balances, and you offer a certain amount that you can pay them based on what you currently have. Now, there are certain ways that we look at your assets and your balances and how to make sure that we consider what you can pay the IRS. The IRS also looks at your current budget. And many times we like to think, well, what I pay for my car insurance or what I pay for my car note is what the IRS will accept. Well, that's not necessarily always true, because in every state, in every county, we have what's called our national average. That means that the IRS has set aside a certain amount of money for your car note or for your insurance or for your house note. They have deemed a certain amount of allowances. So your professional takes that into account when we're trying to find the minimum amount that you can legally pay the IRS that fits your budget and fits what they're requiring. So it's a way to make um it's a yes for you, I can afford this. Yes for the IRS, I can take this. And so we take a look at that and we make those arrangements, submit it to the IRS, and we wait to see what we can negotiate with from there. And that's why it's so important to have a professional, because it's not just putting numbers, it's knowing why the numbers are there, how the numbers are going to benefit you, how numbers can hurt you, and what negotiating power you have with the Internal Revenue Service.
Absolutely. So you guys want to think about the enrolled agent is your attorney. So your attorney, like, and they're gonna represent you in front of the IRS. So this is why you want to come to an enrolled agent, because enrolled agent, we have to take an exam that is planned and taken by the IRS. IRS approved this exams, and we have to take it in order to become enrolled agent. And that's why makes enrolled agent is the best representative. So you want to go to Rolanda, and Rolanda, tell me about this. Maybe some people don't know, because if they want to hire an attorney, the attorney has to be in their county, the attorney has to be in their state. But for the enrolled agents, so I want to give you the stage to tell them, like, can you represent people outside of your county, outside of your states?
I'm glad you brought that up, Nora. As an enrolled agent, we have the ability to represent taxpayers in all 50 states. Not only can we handle your federal situation, but we can also represent you with the state situation as well. That's unlike CPAs. CPAs only represent you in the state that they're licensed for. And the same with your attorneys. I think they can only represent you in the state that you're licensed for. That's what makes us so different. We are credentialed by the Internal Revenue Service. Enrolled agents are considered the highest because they credentialed us, and we can represent you in all 50 states.
Absolutely. And this is what I love about being an enrolled agent, because yeah, whatever you are, like, you can come to us and we can solve that problem for you. So, but the earlier people can come, the best results can happen. So can you give us like some example? What could different scenario for different results for offering compromise could be?
Sure. Maybe you are a person that is on a fixed income. Maybe you had a tax debt maybe 5 or 10 years ago, or 5 or 10 years ago, and now you're on a fixed income. Your life is different than it was 5 years ago. You may still have the balance, but your circumstances are changed. And we would present those circumstances the way you are now. So you actually could qualify for offering compromise, minimum payment, or maybe currently not collectible. Currently not collectible means that they won't take any payment from you because you can't afford it. And
so is that forever? Is that forever or just temporary?
No, that's for temporary, and they'll go back and recheck it. But again, if you're on a fixed income, Social Security, disability, you truly cannot make that payment, then in some cases, the offering compromise could be as low as $10, $100, $1,000, where you may have owed them tens of thousands of dollars. It just depends on where your situation is. But we work in our practice, we work to make sure we understand your whole situation. Your balance to the IRS could be as a result of several things. Maybe you owed them because you had a business, but then you got hurt. Maybe someone in your family passed. All of those things come into effect when we look at positioning you in the best place so that you can get the best result from your IRS situation.
Absolutely. That's very important. And Rolanda, how can people get in touch with you if they have any problem? How can they reach out to you so you can help them?
Sure. My office number is 832-431-4844. You can also reach out to me on my website, mytaxlady.net. I welcome a free 15-minute discovery call. And that's just so that we can get an understanding of each other and you can tell me about your situation and we can talk about moving forward from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rolanda, for this valuable information. I'm sure a lot of people don't know anything about offer and compromise, and they don't know that they have options. A lot of people try to run away from the situation, but guys, don't run away from the situation. Seek some help. Call Rolanda. She can help you along with her team. She is amazing. So make sure you do not just ignore the situation. Thank you so much, Rolanda. This was an awesome having you again here, and we'll have you again soon. Guys, I want to hear from you. I want you to tell me, what do you think about the show? What do you want to see in the show? And if you have a story or if you have an experience you would like to share with us, I want to hear from you. I want you to tell me what you want to share, and we can talk and see if you can come to the show. Would love to have you. This is your host, Noura Almasri. Until next time, keep making an impact.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.